Welcome back to the channel Wisdom of Stoicism. Have you ever shared something personal with someone, only to wish you hadn't? Maybe it was a goal you were excited about, a relationship problem you thought they'd understand, a moment of vulnerability you hoped they'd respect. But instead, they judged you, used it against you, or just didn't care. That's when it hits you. Not everyone needs to know your story. In a world where people overshare for likes, where privacy is treated like a weakness, we forget one simple truth. Silence is strength. The ancient Stoics knew this. They didn't announce their every move. They didn't beg for approval. They didn't need applause to keep going. They lived with quiet power. They guarded their peace. They understood that not everything should be spoken, because the moment you share, you give away a piece of your power. In this video, we're going to explore 13 timeless lessons from Stoicism that will show you why you should stop telling everyone what happens in your life. This isn't about hiding. It's about protecting what's sacred. It's about choosing wisdom over noise, peace over performance, power over popularity. So if you've ever felt misunderstood, judged, or drained after sharing too much, this message is for you. In this video, we'll explore 12 Stoic lessons that explain why you should stop telling everyone what happens in your life. Not to hide, but to grow. Let me begin with a story of strength born in silence. Let me tell you a story. It's about a man named Daniel. He was just an average guy, living in a small town, working a regular job, trying to make something better of his life. He had dreams, big ones. He wanted to start his own business, get in shape, learn new skills, maybe even write a book one day. And like many people, Daniel was excited to share his plans. So he did. He told his friends at work. He told his cousins during family dinners. He even posted about it online. "Big things coming," he wrote. "New chapter begins now." Every time he shared, he felt a little buzz, like he'd already made progress. But weeks went by, and nothing changed. People started asking questions. "Hey, how's that business going? Weren't you starting a podcast or something? Thought you were waking up at 5 a.m. now?" Daniel began to feel embarrassed. He hadn't actually done the things he talked about. He had shared the idea, but not the action. One day, something hit him hard. He was scrolling through his old posts when he realized he had been telling the world about the person he wanted to become, but he had done very little to actually become that person. That night, Daniel made a new promise. But this time, he didn't tell anyone. He stopped posting updates. He stopped talking about what he was going to do. He just started doing it. At 5 a.m., he was up, quietly. At night, he was learning, reading, building. He failed many times, but in silence. No applause, no advice, no opinions. Months later, people began to notice. He looked healthier. He spoke with more confidence. He had his own small business now, steady, profitable, real. And when they asked how he did it, he just smiled and said, "I stopped talking. I started doing." Daniel learned the Stoic way. That silence isn't weakness. It's power. It's focus. It's protection. Because when you stop telling everyone what happens in your life, you take back control. You grow without judgment. You fail without shame. And you win without needing to prove anything to anyone. And that, my friend, is how you change your life. Not with noise, but with quiet, consistent, deliberate action. Lesson 1. You speak badly about yourself, and the world takes note. Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, "I'm just not good enough," or "Nothing ever works out for me"? Maybe you say these things quietly just to yourself, but what if I told you that the world is actually listening? It sounds strange, right? How can the world hear what you say inside your own head? Well, not literally, but your words, especially the ones you say out loud, shape how people see you. And more importantly, they shape how you see yourself. Think about it. When you constantly put yourself down, you start believing it. And when you believe it, you stop trying to change. You begin to expect failure before you even start. The world picks up on this energy too. People sense when you don't believe in yourself, and sadly, they often treat you the way you treat yourself. The The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who lived 2,000 years ago, had a saying, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This means you have to talk to yourself like you're someone worthy of respect and capable of greatness. Because that's exactly what you are. You're not your mistakes. You're not your bad days. You're the person who gets up, who tries again, who keeps moving forward no matter what. But here's the key. You need to watch your words. Every time you say something negative about yourself, you're feeding a story that's not true. It's a story that keeps you stuck. Instead, start speaking to yourself like a champion. Say things like, "I am capable. I am learning. I can handle this." It might feel strange at first, like you're lying to yourself. But that's just your old mindset trying to hold on. The truth is, your words have power. They shape your reality. If you speak badly about yourself, your energy weakens and so does your progress. But when you speak positively, even if you don't fully believe it yet, you begin to build strength. Confidence follows. Action follows. Change follows. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," or "I'm a failure," stop, take a deep breath, and say something different. Say something kind. Because the world is always listening. And the first place you have to convince is yourself. Lesson 2. Your change doesn't need an audience. In today's world, it feels like everything has to be shared. From morning routines to every little habit change, people want to announce it to the world. "I'm waking up at 5 a.m. now. I'm going vegan. I'm cutting toxic people out." We see it all the time on social media, and sometimes it almost feels like if you don't tell people what you're doing, your change isn't real. But here's the truth. Real change doesn't need an audience. Think about it. If you start waking up early just to post about it, are you changing for yourself? Or are you changing for the applause, the likes, the comments? The Stoics believed deeply in the power of quiet, private transformation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote his famous meditations not for others to read, but for himself. His growth was personal and private, and it was real. When you announce every step you take, you invite pressure and expectation. Suddenly, your progress depends on other people's approval, and that can make your change fragile. What happens if you don't get the applause? What happens if someone doubts you or criticizes your journey? You might feel like giving up because your motivation wasn't truly your own. But when change is for yourself alone, when you do it quietly and sincerely, it becomes much stronger. It's no longer about impressing anyone. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. And that kind of transformation is powerful and lasting. The journey of change is often uncomfortable and difficult. You might face moments where you want to quit or where progress seems slow. When you keep it private, you avoid distractions and outside noise. You focus on the work itself. And over time, those quiet efforts add up to big results. Here's another thing. Announcing your goals or progress often invites judgment. People may misunderstand your intentions or try to discourage you. But when your change happens silently, you protect your energy. You save your strength for the actual work. So next time you want to make a big change, whether it's in your habits, your mindset, or your lifestyle, try this. Keep it to yourself. Don't feel the need to broadcast every step. Let your transformation happen behind the scenes. Because in the end, it's your life, your progress, your victory, and it doesn't need an audience to be real. Remember, the quiet, consistent work is what shapes a new you. The applause will come naturally, not from others but from inside. Lesson 3. Shut your mouth and let your actions speak. You've probably heard the saying, actions speak louder than words. But how many of us really live by it? In today's world, it feels like everyone wants to be heard all the time. People post their every thought, share their plans before they even start, and talk about what they will do more than what they actually do. The truth is, talking a lot about what you plan to do doesn't make those plans real. Words are easy. Anyone can say, "I'm going to change my life," or "I'm going to start a business," or "I'm working on myself." But it's the doing part, the actual hard work, that matters. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that talking too much can actually hurt you. It can create expectations from others, which add pressure and distraction. Worse, Sometimes words create false confidence. You might feel like you've already done something just by saying it out loud, and then you never actually follow through. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, lived a life full of action. He didn't waste his time bragging or announcing his plans. Instead, he focused on what needed to be done and quietly worked on it every day. That's the kind of power silence holds, the power to focus, to grow, and to become. When you stop talking and start acting, you surprise people. They don't expect you to be working behind the scenes, grinding silently. And that's your advantage. Your results will speak for themselves, and when you finally show up with success, people will listen. Another important point is this: actions build character. Every time you follow through on something without shouting about it, you're building trust in yourself. You prove that you can rely on yourself, even when no one else is watching. And isn't that the key? Not impressing others, but impressing yourself. Knowing you did the hard work, even when no one gave you a round of applause. That kind of self-respect and inner strength is what Stoicism teaches. So, the next time you want to announce your goals or explain your struggles, pause. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do right now that moves me closer to my goal? And then do it. Let your life tell the story, not your mouth. Remember, silence is not emptiness. It's the space where real growth happens. Let your actions be your voice. Lesson 4. Change the story you tell yourself. Have you ever noticed how the stories we tell ourselves shape everything? The way we think about ourselves, the decisions we make, even how we feel every single day, all come from the inner narrative running in our minds. For many people, this story isn't kind. It's filled with doubts, fears, and criticism. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. No one understands me. These thoughts become a kind of mental tape that plays over and over. And the more you listen, the more you start to believe them. But here's the truth. This story isn't fixed. You have the power to change it. The ancient Stoics knew this well. They believed that our inner dialogue is the foundation of our life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, kept reminding himself to be strong, patient, and kind, especially when life got tough. Imagine if you could rewrite your story the same way. Instead of being your own worst enemy, you become your biggest supporter. Instead of, I'm not good enough, say, I am growing stronger every day. Instead of, I always fail, say, I learn from my mistakes and keep moving forward. Instead of, no one understands me, say, I understand myself and that's enough. This doesn't mean you ignore your problems or pretend everything is perfect. No, it means you take control of your thoughts. You stop letting fear and self-doubt write the script. Changing your story is like changing the lens through which you see the world. When you tell yourself you are capable and resilient, you start to act that way. Your energy shifts, your confidence grows. And here's the secret. This change starts quietly, inside your own mind. You don't have to announce it to anyone. You don't need validation or approval. In fact, sometimes the people around you won't notice at first. They might even question your new mindset. But that's okay. Your real audience is yourself. Every time you catch a negative thought, pause and ask, is this story helping me or hurting me? If it hurts you, rewrite it. This daily practice is powerful. It's a kind of mental training. The more you do it, the stronger your mind becomes. Remember, your mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of fear and failure, you'll grow weeds. But if you plant seeds of hope and strength, you'll grow a garden full of resilience. So today, start changing your story. Be patient. Be kind. Speak to yourself like you would to a good friend. You have the power to become the hero of your own life. And it all begins with the story you tell yourself. Lesson 5. Understand the power of every word. You may not realize this, but every word you say matters. Every single word that leaves your mouth has weight. Can build someone up or break them down. Can open doors or quietly shut them forever. That's why Stoic thinkers were incredibly careful with how they spoke. They believed that words are not just sounds, they're actions. Once spoken, they can't be taken back. You might forget what you said, but the person who heard it might carry those words for years. Let me ask you this, how often have you said something in anger and then regretted it later? Or how often have you shared a dream or a plan, and someone's careless comment made you second-guess yourself? That's the power of words. The Stoics taught us, if it's not true, not necessary, or not kind, don't say it. Silence is always better than words that do harm. In today's world, people speak without thinking. They post their emotions online like it's therapy. They argue with strangers. They rant, vent, insult, and overshare. But here's the truth. People who constantly talk are often just trying to feel important. They're not powerful, they're loud. Real power is calm. It's measured. It chooses words the way a sculptor chooses tools, with purpose. When you speak, ask yourself, will this add value? Will this bring peace? Or am I just filling the silence because it's uncomfortable? In America, we grow up hearing, speak your mind. But Stoicism teaches, speak your mind wisely. Not everything you think needs to be said. Not every emotion deserves a microphone. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is say nothing. Just observe. Let your silence do the talking. Because when you learn to master your words, you begin to master your life. Words shape how others see you, but more importantly, they shape how you see yourself. So speak with care. Speak with purpose. And when in doubt, choose silence. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Lesson 6. Not everyone understands what you carry inside. Sometimes, the deepest pain is the one no one sees. You walk into a room smiling, nodding, even laughing, and no one knows you barely slept last night. No one knows you're carrying years of disappointment, heartbreak, or silent struggles that never made it to your social feed. But here's the truth. Not everyone needs to know, and not everyone would understand, even if you told them. The Stoic philosophers understood this well. They believed that our pain, our thoughts, and our internal battles are sacred, personal. Not everything is meant to be explained. Not every scar needs to be shown. We live in a time where it feels like we're supposed to tell the world everything. People say, speak your truth, or be open about your struggles. But what they don't tell you is this. Not everyone is ready to hear your truth, and some might even use it against you. You don't owe the world an explanation for how you're healing. You don't have to share every story to prove you've grown. Some days, the most powerful thing you can do is stay quiet. Not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting your energy. Your peace. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In other words, stop explaining. Just live it. You're allowed to keep parts of yourself hidden. Your strength, your struggle, your transformation. And when you finally open up, make sure it's with someone who's earned the right to hear it. Someone who listens to understand, not just to respond. Someone who sees you, not just your words. Because in the end, being seen and being heard are two different things. So protect your story. Choose your moments. Speak when it serves your soul, not your ego. And remember, silence doesn't mean weakness. Often, it means you've finally realized how valuable your inner world really is. Lesson 7. Saying it might calm you, but silence heals you. Have you ever been so overwhelmed that you just had to talk to someone? Maybe you picked up your phone, called a friend, or sent a long text just to let it all out. And for a moment, it felt better. Talking can calm us down. It gives us relief. But here's the truth that many people don't realize. Talking is not the same as healing. Think about this. How many times have you vented to someone and still felt the pain days later? The weight didn't go away. The hurt was still there. That's because while talking might release the pressure, it doesn't always fix the problem at the root. It's like placing a bandage on a deep wound and expecting it to heal overnight. The Stoics believed that real healing happens inside. Not through noise, not through endless complaining, but through quiet reflection. When you sit in silence, truly sit with yourself, your mind starts to slow down. Your thoughts become clearer. You begin to understand your emotions instead of just reacting to them. That's where healing begins. Not from shouting your pain to the world, but from listening to what your pain is trying to teach you. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a great Stoic thinker, faced betrayal, loss, and stress beyond what most of us can imagine. But he didn't scream about it. He didn't tell the whole empire how hurt he was. Instead, he wrote his thoughts down in a private journal. That journal became the Meditations, a book still changing lives today. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to be still, to step back, to stop explaining your struggle to everyone, and instead, allow yourself space to feel it, understand it, and grow from it. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom, and if you learn to sit with your pain instead of running from it, you'll come out stronger on the other side. So yes, say it if you need to, let it out, but when you're ready to truly heal, go quiet, go inward. That's where your strength is waiting. Lesson 8. Do you know why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth? Have you ever heard that old saying, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason"? It's not just a clever phrase. It's actually one of the simplest and most powerful lessons from Stoic philosophy. The idea is this: we're meant to listen more than we speak. But in today's world, most people do the exact opposite. We're constantly talking, posting, texting, tweeting, explaining ourselves to people who aren't even listening. We feel pressure to share our thoughts, our opinions, our problems, even our plans. We talk just to fill the silence. But silence is where the truth lives. The Stoics understood that the wisest people are usually the quietest. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because they're always paying attention. They're listening, they're watching, they're learning. Think about it like this: when you speak, you're just repeating what you already know. But when you listen, you have a chance to learn something new. That's what Stoic philosopher Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, believed. He said that silence is training for the soul. That real wisdom comes from being present, being observant, and letting other people show you who they really are without you needing to interrupt. Now let me ask you something personal. How often do you let someone fully finish their thought before you jump in? How often do you stop to really hear the meaning behind someone's words? In our noisy world, being a good listener is rare, and that makes it powerful. The next time you feel the urge to speak, pause. Ask yourself, is this moment better served by listening? Most of the time, the answer is yes. You'll learn more, you'll understand more, and you'll say more with fewer words when the time does come to speak. So remember, your 2 ears are not just for decoration. They're your tools for wisdom. And your 1 mouth? Use it wisely. The Stoics were right. Those who listen lead, and those who talk too much usually regret it. Let your silence speak louder than your voice. Lesson 9. If you depend on applause, you won't get far. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get caught up in seeking approval? Whether it's likes on social media, compliments from friends, or even just a nod of recognition at work, we all crave that validation. Feels good when people notice us, right? But here's the thing: depending on applause or approval from others is a trap. It's like building your happiness on sand. The moment the crowd stops clapping, you feel shaky, uncertain, even lost. Stoic philosophers knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics, reminds us that true fulfillment comes from within, not from the outside world. He teaches that if you constantly look for others to tell you you're doing well, you give away your power. You hand control over your happiness and self-worth to people who don't even know your whole story. Think about it. When you post about your achievements, your progress, or your struggles online, who are you really doing it for? Are you sharing to inspire others? Or are you hoping for likes and comments to feel good about yourself? There's nothing wrong with celebrating your wins, but if you only feel good when others notice, that's a dangerous habit. Applause is temporary, fades fast, and sometimes it never comes at all. But your values, they're steady. They're like an anchor in a storm. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. Your own effort, your own integrity, your own commitment to being better every day. When you live this way, you don't need anyone's applause. You feel proud because you know you're walking your path honestly. Imagine running a race without a crowd cheering. No signs, no claps, just you and the finish line. It might be quiet, but the sense of accomplishment is real, and it lasts longer than any moment of applause. So, the next time you feel the urge to broadcast every detail of your life for approval, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this to grow, or am I doing this to be seen? Is my peace dependent on their reaction? Find your applause inside. Be your own biggest fan. Because when you rely on yourself for validation, you can face any challenge with confidence, no matter how loud or quiet the world gets. Lesson 10. Not everyone deserves your trust. Trust is something precious. It's like a key that opens the door to your inner world. But not everyone should get that key. In fact, giving it away too easily can lead to pain, disappointment, and even betrayal. Think about it. How many times have you trusted someone, only to realize later they didn't have your best interests at heart? Maybe they shared your secrets, or they let you down when you needed them most. It hurts, and it's a lesson many people learn the hard way. The ancient Stoics understood this well. They knew that trust isn't something to be given lightly. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned us not to confide in just anyone. Instead, we should be careful, patient, and thoughtful about who we let into our lives. Why? Because your trust is your personal currency. When you share your true feelings, your struggles, or your dreams, you're giving away something valuable. Not everyone deserves to see that side of you. Not everyone can handle your truth, and not everyone will respect it. This doesn't mean you should close yourself off or live in isolation. It means being wise about your relationships. Observe people carefully. Pay attention to their actions more than their words. Notice how they treat others when no one is watching. These small clues reveal a lot about someone's character. Trust is earned, not given for free. And here's the thing, trusting the wrong person can slow down your progress, can make you doubt yourself, can even distract you from your goals. But when you guard your trust, you protect your peace. So how do you decide who deserves your trust? Start small. Share little by little. See how they respond. Are they reliable? Are they kind? Do they keep your confidence? Remember, a true friend or trusted person won't pressure you to open up before you're ready. They will respect your boundaries and be patient with your pace. Also, it's okay to change your mind. If someone breaks your trust, don't be afraid to step back and protect yourself. That's not weakness, that's strength. In the noisy, fast-paced world we live in, being cautious with trust is more important than ever. Social media can make it tempting to share everything with everyone. But real trust, deep trust, is rare. It grows quietly over time. So, protect your inner world like a fortress. Share your trust only with those who prove themselves worthy. And remember, your peace of mind is worth more than any temporary approval or attention. Lesson 11. Some battles are only won in silence. Not every fight is worth having. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is not react at all. This might sound strange in a world that tells us to speak up, to always defend ourselves, to never back down. But listen closely, there are battles where silence is the real victory. Imagine someone says something hurtful to you, or tries to provoke you. Your first instinct might be to snap back, to prove them wrong, to make sure they know you won't be pushed around. But what if that reaction only feeds the fire? What if it gives that person exactly what they want, a response? They want to see you upset. They want to drag you into a fight that distracts you from your goals. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, advised us to be calm and measured, to not let other people's actions control our peace of mind. He believed that when someone insults you or tries to hurt you, you have a choice. React with anger or respond with silence. Choosing silence is not about weakness. It's a form of strength. It shows that you are in control. You decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Sometimes walking away quietly is the most powerful message you can send. It says, I am bigger than this, without having to say a single word. Think about it. How many times have you seen people get caught up in arguments online or in person and end up more frustrated, more exhausted? The battle goes on, but nobody really wins. By stepping back and holding your silence, you protect your energy and keep your mind clear. This doesn't mean you never stand up for yourself, but it means picking your battles wisely. Some conflicts aren't worth your time or emotional energy. Some fights only drain you and pull you away from what really matters. Silence lets you focus on your goals, on your growth. It lets you conserve your power for things that truly deserve it. And when you don't engage in every battle, people start to respect you more. They see that you're not easily shaken. They notice that your calm is your strength. So next time someone tries to bait you or pull you into a fight, pause. Take a deep breath. Remember that sometimes the best victory is won without saying a word. Some battles are won in silence. Lesson 12. The noise of the world is exhausting. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by all the noise around you? The constant buzz of social media, the never-ending news updates, group chats blowing up, people sharing every little detail of their lives. It can all feel like too much. It's exhausting. And that noise doesn't just fill the background of our lives. It invades our minds. It makes it harder to focus, harder to think clearly, and harder to feel calm. The world today demands your attention every second. Notifications pop up constantly, asking you to react, comment, share, or scroll. But here's the truth. You don't have to listen to every voice. You don't have to reply to every message. You don't have to get caught up in every argument or drama. The ancient Stoics understood this well. They lived in a time full of political chaos and social unrest, yet they practiced withdrawing from the noise, not by running away from life, but by tuning out distractions. They focused on what mattered: their own character, their own peace of mind, their own growth. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a radio. If you keep tuning into every station, especially those with loud, negative voices, it becomes impossible to hear the clear signal you really need: your own thoughts, your own values, your own purpose. The Stoics remind us to change the station, to choose silence or calm over chaos. Taking time away from the noise isn't about ignoring reality. It's about protecting your mental energy. When you disconnect from the constant chatter, you create space. Space to reflect, space to plan, space to heal. And in that quiet, you can finally hear what's really important to you. So, how do you do this in today's noisy world? Start small. Turn off non-essential notifications. Schedule no phone times during your day. Spend time in nature or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts. Practice saying no to unnecessary conversations or debates that drain you. Remember, the noise outside doesn't have to become noise inside your mind. You have the power to choose what you listen to. Silence isn't empty. It's full of clarity. It's where you recharge and find your true strength. When you learn to protect your peace, you become unstoppable. Because a calm mind makes better decisions, feels deeper happiness, and handles life's challenges with more grace. The noise of the world might always be there, but you don't have to live in it. Choose silence. Choose peace. Choose the power of quiet strength. Thank you for staying with me through these 13 powerful lessons from Stoicism. Remember, your life doesn't need to be a story shared with everyone. Sometimes, the greatest strength comes from holding things close and letting your actions do the talking. When you stop seeking approval from others and stop telling everyone what happens in your life, you create space to grow quietly and deeply. You protect your peace and build real, lasting change that no one can take away. So, take a moment today to reflect on what you keep to yourself and why. Trust your journey. Trust your silence. If this video helped you see the value of quiet strength, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more timeless wisdom. Remember, you're not alone. Millions are learning to live this way. Keep walking your path with courage and calm. Until next time, stay strong in silence.